Hello, and welcome to Postcards from a Soul and Her Human. I'm the human Gina. I want to welcome you today. I appreciate your presence as always. It's funny when you're sitting in a studio or a home office recording by yourself, it just feels isolating. But just knowing that this audio is being put out there and that someone across the world could hear it is really is still very fascinating to me. And I'm very grateful for the opportunity to reach whomever I'm meant to reach with this. And whoever you are out there, I just want you to know that you are appreciated, and that I feel very blessed to have honestly anybody listening. And this is such a great experience for me as the creator of these audio recordings, and I just want to express to you, whoever is out there, that I just appreciate your presence and thank you for being here, however long you stay. um, this is a one of the unique times where I actually have a subject matter in mind that actually has been with me since I recorded last time, which was, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point. And it's just been kind of ruminating, and uh, it's something I've been aware of for a long time, and I haven't really talked about in detail, and I want to do that today. Uh, I feel like it's not. I feel like it's important, and I'll preface this subject matter with this kind of the insight into the context that this where this resides and everything that I've gone through in the last 2 years, which is since the end of well, not the end of my relationship, but when my ex-husband finally moved out of my home, which is what I count as the end of that relationship, even though we had broken up a year prior to that, and we were divorced 6 months prior to that, to him moving out. So I consider that move out the end of our relationship, because that was the end of the energetic connection, or his vicinity, to proximity to me. So that's what I'm referring to. And during that time period, I have been in a what I referred to kind of playfully as a world between worlds, or a space between worlds. Actually, more is really how I put it. And what I meant by that is I felt like I was kind of in a reboot mode where, you come out of a relationship, you have your period of mourning and of healing, and then you move on, and you're in the next chapter of your life. And so I've always kind of thought of this time as a space between worlds, or a, s- a, a pause between chapters, so that it didn't really have any purpose other than that. And I just want you to know, and I think it's important to share, that that's not at all true. And uh, there's something that came up repeatedly throughout my learning, or my, I guess I'll refer to it as my spiritual awakening. But as my awareness of myself began to emerge, and I started to take accountability for my actions in my life, or my lack of action in my life, and really understand from a core perspective why my life was so difficult emotionally, and really started to deconstruct who I was, and really go down to the brass tacks, or the studs, however you want to put it, of my being, and start to rebuild. It was during this time that I really started to um, be aware of something that was intangible, that was inexplicable, that was um, otherworldly, something I had never had an awareness of before. And I came to know that feeling as the void. And it's funny because I would get a tarot card, actually, more accurately, an oracle card, when I started doing my own oracle readings. And then, just to recap quickly, over the 2 years that I was in healing, and then in my awakening phase, and then beyond that, I I was introduced to tarot, which I had not really ever seen before. I was aware of it, but I'd never partaken in a reading before then. And I was guided serendipitously to a tarot reader by a young lady who worked for me. I told this story. And she just said one day, "Hey, this girl's really good. Check her out." And she texted me a link, and it was months later before I actually looked at it. But that was the beginning of my experience with the tarot, and the beginning of my connection with my soul family, who are disembodied souls who are living in another realm, in an ethereal realm. I don't know what dimension by number that is, but it's not the three-dimensional. It's not here in the physical plane. That these are souls who I've become to know, that who have who I have become to know as my soul family, or my tribe, I call them. And I know them all by name, and I have conversations with them every day, and I see signs and symbols and synchronicities that are sent by them and the universe, or whomever else in the soul realm is sending me messages all the time, every single day. It has just become a part of my life. So when I talk about the tarot, it is just it became a method by which I was connected to my higher self. And we know that our higher self is our intuition. And I was also connected to the other souls who are in the support roles in my life. These are the souls who travel with me through lifetimes, who incarnate at times with me. And I have soulmates on earth with me right now. Two are in my family, my daughter and my new granddaughter. I have a soulmate twin flame out there in the world somewhere, whom I'm destined to meet someday. And I have a karmic soulmate in my ex-husband, who was the catalyst for my awakening. So I was introduced to all this ethereal world of disembodied souls by this experience with tarot. And just like anyone else, I wasn't really sure about it. I wasn't sure I was being spoken to. I mean, these are general readings where thousands of people are viewing them, and I never felt compelled to pay for and get my own personal readings. I never felt the need to do that, so I never did. And I just listened to the readings that I resonated with. And I've talked about this, I think, throughout all of the podcasts, not every one of them, but my experience with tarot has been was kind of an emergence of an understanding of not only my intuitive channel, but the actual channel of that a tarot reader provides between the 3D and the other realms. And I don't know, I'm not going to comment on the world of tarot or psychic mediums or all that. I believe that we all have the ability, but not all of us have access. So to me, it's not a matter of whether it's true or not. It's just a matter of whether you have somebody who is honest and who is truly engaged and who can deliver messages without too much of too many barriers. So you get a more clear message. And I feel like I was blessed with two tarot readers, because the first tarot reader, through her readings, led me to another a partner reader of hers, who became the person that I went to, or her readings that I shouldn't even say went to. It was all very serendipitous. They would pop up in my YouTube channel as a recommended video, and if they were placed in a certain spot high enough on the menu, I knew that I was meant to look at it. And if I looked at the picture and the title, which you see when you look at all the different channels on your page, I knew whether or not I was meant to look at it. If it resonated and I felt drawn, I would look at it. Otherwise, I wouldn't. And it was also the same with the readings, because you were given several piles, and you choose the one that you're drawn to. And whenever I did this, I was given a message that, at least in part, was useful for me. And so this wasn't something that I believed or didn't believe. It just became a part of my life. It was not something I ever doubted. Well, I shouldn't say that. In the beginning, I wasn't sure, and our own ego, and this is important, our ego doesn't want to believe that something outside of ourselves can help or heal or guide us. The ego is a dominant feature of our human brain, and it doesn't want or believe or understand anything outside of itself. So for that reason, I felt like maybe they weren't speaking to me, or I almost felt like maybe I didn't deserve this attention, and am I really getting it? And I had to be validated over and over again in the readings that basically said, yes, we are speaking to you. Yes, you can trust this. Yes, you are meant to connect with us at this time in your life. Yes, we helped you out of that last relationship, and we've been with you all the time, and we want you to know that we're here now, and we have guidance for you, and it's time for you to receive it. And I cataloged all these readings because in the beginning I was so sure that they weren't, that I was imagining this connection. But after a little bit of time, I just began to trust it, and it just became part of my intuition. It became part of my intuitive guidance to have this these messages from these other souls, who were not incarnate, to who were guiding me. So during all of these messages, I learned so many things, and the things that repeated were the things that I now. And it's funny how this works. When something happens in my day to day life, if it strikes a memory or a resonation, which I'll use that word over and over again, it's so critical. If it strikes a resonation with something in a past reading, it'll just pop up into my mind. And because it pops into my mind, I know that that connection is true, so I can trust it. It's just really beautiful how this works. And this is all like a synchronistic dance with my intuition and with the intuitive guidance I'm receiving outside of my own higher self. So, and I talked about this when I wrote my last article, Resonation. I started the article with a statement about how I don't know why I'm writing about this, but it stayed with me. So I feel like I need to look at it in the eye and see what it needs. And I ended up, honestly, I didn't think I would have much to write at all about the subject of resonation. But as I wrote, it just poured out of me, and it became the longest article I've ever written. And I was shocked at the end of it that was true. It just felt like this, almost like I was channeling it. And I have to understand that, I think this has just gotten so natural that channeling is just a part of who I am now. I believe we all channel. I believe my ex-husband was channeling, when he finally told me the truth about himself. I believe, because he was so unable to say to me, "I don't feel anything. I'm with you because you are the brightest light that I've ever seen, and I feed off your energy, and I can't live without you." If he were able to say that to me, then he would have the wherewithal or the empathy to do that, but he didn't have any of that. But when it came time for me to leave that relationship, he started to tell me who he was, which was completely out of character. And I have, when I look back, I can see this so clearly now. How we are all given the gift of guidance, and it really just matters. What really matters the most is whether or not our soul, who is the driver of this human vehicle, is ready for us to awaken. It doesn't mean that they're not awakened, but they want to come here in this life's incarnation on this earth plane in this particular life, because it could be other planets or realms or dimensions. They come here to learn these lessons, to have these experiences. So they're not going to turn off the lights, come into this human body, and then halfway through go, "Oh, I'm bored, I'm going to turn the lights on." That's not how it works. And from my experience, and I may be off, I don't know, like technically, but it feels like when I was ready to start to learn, or my soul was ready for the human me to start to activate the dormancies within me, she started to wake me up, like slapping me around with, literally. And I will always describe the energetic breakdown that I experienced when it was time for me to finally leave this relationship and have this man move out of my house, which I had not been unable to achieve, um, with my own conscientious human self. My energy was completely taken away. They just pulled the plug. And so I refer to that as being pulled out of that relationship by my ear. And I will always refer to that in that way, because that's what it felt like even as it was happening. And of course, when I have the retrospective advantage, I can see it very clearly. So we're all given this guidance. And I believe my ex husband was also given the same guidance, because it was time for him to send me on my way. And he, and my soul and his soul knew the only way that was going to happen was if they activated that part of me that would cause that reaction. And I say reaction and not response, because I was very reactive then. That the only thing I can do to save myself physically now, the emotional part of me was already was already beyond the point where I could bring it back safely. So that road was already destroyed. There was no way forward there. So the only way forward was my physical health, and I knew once that broke down, I had to go. So that's what it took for my soul to get me out of that relationship, was to break me down physically. So, and again, my ex-husband was given the same guidance well, I wouldn't say intuitively, because I don't believe his intuitive channel wasn't connected, and for good reason. It had to be disconnected in order for him to behave uh, strictly from and straight from the ego, which I believe is what a narcissist is. It's a person who doesn't have an intuitive channel. I mean, that's as simple as I can put it, because the higher self guides and loves us and would never put us in that danger. But again, the soul disconnects on purpose and allows the ego to take over so this experience can be full bodied. There's no mistakes here. There's no, oh, he didn't get what he was meant to have because of some dysfunction or disconnection in between his soul and his body. That's not how it works. Not from my experience. Is his soul was in theater with mine. His soul was playing a role with my soul, and this is a role that we agreed to in a different life, or a non-life, or a non-terrestrial life, where we weren't connected to any realm, where we said, hey, I'm going to help you get to this evolution, this period or the space in your evolution, by being this narcissistic agitator in your life. And I'm going to stir up all your demons, and I'm going to cause you to break, and I'm going to allow you I'm going to be your catalyst for your spiritual awakening, so you can awaken in this lifetime and you can become what you're meant to become. Your potential will be reached, your ethereal potential. And in doing that, he very well may have sacrificed his own for this lifetime anyway. And I don't know that yet. He may still awaken. He may still reconnect with me someday and say, hey, I had my own awakening and here's where I am. And we can, then maybe we can have a relationship then, where we can talk about it and compare notes. And that would be amazing. But I don't know that that's what's in his future. But my point is where we all have this channel, we all have this connection. This soul who is driving this vehicle body is in charge of where we go, and why and when and how. And I believe that so wholeheartedly that I've completely just let go of any need to control. And that is one of the benefits of being in this space, in this space that I refer to as the void. And it's such a beautiful thing when you think about it, because this used to scare me. I used to get this card during the tarot readings, and more importantly, or more profoundly, I would get this card in the oracle readings that I did for myself. And this is so funny too. I mean, the serendipity is just all over the place. It's dippity doo all over my life. And when you look back, it's so easy to see it. My daughter, who is a soulmate of mine, who is a sister soul, who is here in the role of my daughter in this lifetime, is the one who orchestrated all of the serendipity that happened, that got me to the Gene Keys, which are the books that by Richard Rudd, that really helped me focus on the deficiencies in my energy that I brought into this lifetime as karma, so I can identify them and then begin to heal them. And that's exactly what I did. She's the one who sent me the employee who became the one who introduced me to the Gene Keys, and introduced me to this tarot reader, who introduced me to this other tarot reader, who became the reader that I went to for my professional reading. So about what's my work life going to look like? And from that connection with this other tarot reader, who I learned about through the tarot reader who I was given by my employee, she told me in several readings, and I've have them all cataloged, about my professional life, what I'd be doing, which included my voice on a microphone. It's just so beautiful how this all just ties together. And that in some time in my future, although my work is not being heard now, someday it will. And I don't know if that means after my death or what, but someday it will have a resonant importance in the world. And that it will be a tool for other people to heal. So, I have this other reader who, again, was a serendipitous event also. So everything that's happened that's brought me here has been serendipity. And serendipity is the universe's way of guiding you. So if something comes up into my life and I resonate with it even a little bit, I go that direction. That's my soul saying, here's your next step. And it's funny because I actually feel that nudge right now starting to begin in my body. But I'll talk about that later. But what I want to talk about is this void. And when I began doing my own tarot readings, which was another serendipitous thing, it was my birthday last year, which is in October, and we're in September. So my birthday's next month. So almost a year ago, my daughter bought me an oracle deck, and I have never done my own readings. And throughout all the readings that I had viewed online, I never had the inclination to do my own. Although there were many times when the reader would say, you would benefit from doing your own oracle readings. So that's something that your spirit team is telling you that you should do. But I'd never gotten a deck and done it. But of course, my birthday comes and my daughter hands me a package, and in it is an oracle deck, which is, of course, another serendipitous uh, action by spirit through my daughter. So I have this oracle deck. I have no idea how to use it. I read the instructions. I do what they say to do. And I start doing my own readings. And I did them once a week for, I would say, probably October. I got the deck. I really didn't look at it till November or December because I just was kind of intimidated by it. So it was probably December through when I stopped doing the all the readings, which was the end of January of the following year, of this year, 2023. So just a few months that I was doing my own readings, and I did them weekly. Every Sunday morning after breakfast, I would sit and do them. And I knew when I did the oracle readings that this reading was just for me. This was not one done by a reader who's on YouTube. This is one done by me. It was my hand dealing the cards. So it was my higher self or my soul family who were dealing those cards. And I cataloged all of these, and I was really fascinated to find that the theme that had developed or had emerged through the readings that I'd done online continued as a thread through my own oracle readings. And one of the main things, there are two actually, but one of them is this card called the Void. The other one is a card that was called Wait, which is self explanatory. But the Void, I want to actually read to you what this is because it's pretty profound. And it was for me anyway, and it continues to be, and I'll tell you why. But the Void, and they give you a little workbook, and I'll list this oracle deck in a description area if there is one, and there is one on YouTube and on Buzzsprout where my podcast is hosted, and I have a page there. But on YouTube, it's at Postcards from a Soul. All of my social media is basically that. But I will post a link to this oracle deck, and it's called the Starseed Oracle. And it's by Rebecca Campbell, and the artwork is by Danielle Noel. And it's a beautiful deck. I mean, just stunning. Only one I've ever owned still. But I want to read to you this card. And again, every single reading that I had done, and over that span, I probably did 16 or more readings for myself. They almost every one contained this card. The Void. Stop, embrace winter, great cosmic womb. Everything and nothing exists in the void. It's where all life begins and ends. It's the winter and the womb, the fertile darkness where all things originate and all seeds grow. Comforting and intimidating, freeing and daunting. It can feel both overwhelmingly small and huge. The void is where faith lives. The message of the void is to surrender to the unknown, to allow the fertile darkness of nothingness to nourish the new seeds growing within you. Regardless of whether you know what they'll one day become, you're being called to surrender to the mystery of what's next, to rest and to allow the winter of your life to do the work for you, to hand over your control and trust that just because you can't see what's happening beneath the surface, it doesn't mean things aren't at work. The greatest weavings happen when we find a way to surrender and trust that our life is being knitted for us, right beneath the surface, in ways known and unknowable. Now is a time to cultivate faith and allow deep, deep rest. The void often surfaces at the end of a chapter or life phase when we're called to let go of all that we know and identify with. When you're in the void, it can feel scary and as if you should be doing, quote unquote, something. However, when this card appears, it's a sure sign that the most productive thing to do is relinquish control and surrender to the changing mystery of your life. I had to go back and look at that this morning because I knew that this was going to be an element in this podcast. And I even as I read it again, it just the resonation is like a bell and I can feel it vibrating through my body. This card in the very beginning, when it would be pulled, it used to scare me because I would think void, emptiness, what does that mean? And I have such a different understanding of it now. And this is why this void is so important. And it was to me, especially after a life phase like the one I went through with my ex-husband. We all take the time to heal. Well, we should. And beyond the healing though is when we really start to learn who we are. And I think a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this in my past, we don't give ourselves this time. So we rush into whatever's next because that ego, that need is always there and we need to fulfill it. So we go on to whatever is next and we hope that this will be the relationship or the situation or the circumstance that is going to finally make us feel whole. And what we don't realize when we skip over the void is that we cannot become whole without the void. And this has been the most illuminating thing to me. And it's funny because it was the most finite of all the things I've ever spoken about. And I think why I haven't spoken about it really in detail until now, because it didn't feel as tangible as everything else I went through. But this is truly the most critical. I always referred to this as a space between worlds, a space between chapters, like it didn't have a purpose. And it's the most purposeful time I will ever spend in this lifetime. So it is not a space between worlds. It is a world of its own. It is a world that I am rediscovering and have rediscovered who I am as a soul in human form. All that and it's funny because the void used to scare me, the darkness, the vastness, and now I understand so clearly that it is the opposite of scary. It is knowing that you have, and I think I alluded to this in the last recording. It's the knowing that you have what is cultivated within you now is so vast and it's so empty and it is so um and these words they feel like they're leading you in the wrong direction, but they're not. This empty darkness, this void, this place is where faith lives. And that just keeps coming back. You have to, in order to have faith, you cannot see anything because then you attach that faith to something. And I think this is probably going to be the most difficult thing I've tried to describe. So please bear with me. When I'm in peaceful moments, which is very often in my life, I don't have a lot going on, and that is by design, and not just mine, my soul's, because this void has been a card that has come up and reminded me over and over and over, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to go anywhere. I remember one time last late winter, my sister wanted me to go to a concert with her that was like an hour away. And at the time I was feeling like, well, maybe it's time for me to get myself back out there. I don't, just to do something. And I reluctantly agreed. And it was a very stressful time. The drive was stressful. It was winter weather, which was stressful. Being in a crowded environment at this concert was stressful. Although I got through it, I was fine. I was exhausted by it. And I remember the next reading I did, which was 2 mornings later, a card came up that said, you don't have to do anything, like reminding me, you don't have to put yourself out there. You're not ready yet. So that really made me comfortable again with going back into myself and not needing to prove to my human mind, my ego, that I could go out into the world again. It wasn't time. It wasn't necessary. I didn't have to. So I basically sat back down again. And I just said to myself, you need to appreciate this void. I need to learn this patience, this faith. And this is one of the things my soul came here to do. So this emptiness, this void, this dormant period where the seeds that were planted are starting to germinate, this is not nothing. Although I don't see much going on in my life, I know without any doubt that all of the really critical things are happening below the surface. And one of them has been this energetic upgrade, this transmutation of my energy, which if I would have had to have a regular life, quote unquote, over the last several months, last year and a half, and I'm not counting the 7 months or so where I was in my healing, that everybody goes through that. But beyond that, where I was in this rebuilding phase of who I was energetically, like from the ground up, from the studs up, this transmutation is basically the being inside of me transforming into another being altogether. So although it isn't reflected in my outside world by what I'm doing with my hands or what I'm achieving or the impact that I'm making on the world or my professional life, it has nothing to do with that. So as an egoic mind in its human body, I had to reconcile that. And it got easier and easier every time this card would come up. And this is why Spirit or my soul team repeats these messages over and over so my thick headed human can begin to trust them. And now that I've gone way beyond that, I stopped doing the readings. I think I said 7 months ago, last episode, but it's actually right about 7 months now that I haven't done any readings at all because I told my soul team in the universe I'm ready to walk without my walker. I'm ready to ride my bike without the training wheels. I'm ready to go on my own. I don't need the constant validation anymore. They stopped the readings, and I talked about that. And I was left to my own devices. And this is where, in this void, I can really learn to trust my own intuition. And I had to take the time to do that, to learn the resonant language of my intuition. And I wrote the article Resonation that I wrote is all about this. And, it is on my website. It's a free read if you want to read it. You can download it or read it as a flip book. But if you have any interest in this word resonation, please do that because it's so important to think about what resonates with us. And I had to learn this vital language that my soul uses to speak to the human me. And it is my solar plexus, which is in my upper stomach, below my rib cage. This is my energetic brain or my intuition, where that comes from. And this is related to this. Is it the sacral chakra? I'm not really well versed with the chakras, but it's all part of the chakra system. It's all part of our connection to the universe and the ethereal world, to all of our bodies, our physical body, and all the subtle bodies that we have. It's such a beautiful thing. And it's so funny how this learning has come about, which is another reason I'm in this void. One of the messages that I got over and over was that I'm going to be learning, that I'm going to be studying, I think is the way it was put. And I think I talked about this back when I did the episode called The Science of Manifestation. This is what I'm meant to do in this time, in this space between worlds, which is its own world on its own, is to learn and to grow, to germinate these seeds, to allow this dormancy, this dormant period to grow everything that's within me that has been asleep for however many lifetimes it's been asleep. So everything I consume through my eyes and ears as information is being transmuted along with my body. It comes out in my voice. It comes out in my writing. It comes out in the way I feel and think, my perspective on this life, which has gotten so incredibly broad, I don't really even think about my own life anymore. I said this before, what I think about is the cosmos. And my daughter was laughing at me because I told her, I said, "Do you know what I wish for every day? If I said this before, forgive me, but I open my back window every morning and I say hello to the new day and thank the earth for this new day and this incredible body. And I say, thank you for this place of for me being in this place of manifestation where absolutely anything is possible, where today I could meet the man of my dreams, who is my twin flame, who is out there somewhere, where today I could become a wealthy woman because money is supposed to be in my future, where today I could become successful in my soul's work, which is what I'm doing now. And then I added, where today I could become an ambassador for the Galactic Federation, because that is something I think about a lot. And I really would love to be alive when the day comes where we as humans have awakened enough to realize we're not the only life and that we are not dominant by any means. We are basically, in the eyes of the cosmos and the elevated life around us, we are dumb babies walking around this place with no awareness of anything outside of ourselves, which is the definition of of ego. So, but as we're awakening en masse, and that is happening now, if you look at the news or if you look at YouTube or if you look at all of the different outlets where we can learn about our self-awareness and self-love and accepting others, and all the movements that we have been that we've all been a part of or witnessed anyway, the you too, or yeah, the Me Too movement, the gay rights and human rights and women's rights and civil rights, and you know everything, Black Lives Matter, everything that we have gone through and that we're witnessing as a community of humans is sending us in that direction of awakening, because now's the time. The demons are all stirred up, everybody's up in arms, and now is the time where we do the exorcisms, and that's what's happening. We are exorcising these demons as a community. And as we do that and we learn to see each other and love ourselves and then love each other, we begin to elevate. That's how we evolve, through love. And what happens when we start to evolve beyond the unconditional love, which is, I'm happy to say, something I've been able to experience for a while now, is seeing the world and everyone and everything in it as loving, as capable of love, makes me love everything. But beyond that, I see the whole universe now, and it's no accident that I've been exposed to a lot of information about extraterrestrial life or non-terrestrial life, or and everything above us, everything on the stars and planets above us, which Earth is a star. We have to remember that we are also in the universe. We're not down here on this planet going, oh, look at all that up there. We are a part of it. We are a life form on a planet or a star in a solar system in a universe. And there are multiples of other universes out there. So, as Jodie Foster said in the movie Contact, if we're all there is, that seems like a lot of waste, a lot of wasted space, however she said it. It's just so interesting that now that I'm in this void, I can see everything. And I think that's one of the points of this, is it's not just to reconcile with our ego and then have a more satisfying human life. If we allow this void, and I say we, I mean me, because I don't know about anyone else from this perspective, from this point in my life, I'm sure this would apply to anyone whose soul is on a similar journey. And I would always love to hear from somebody who might have a comment about this, or connect with somebody who does, because I've never known anyone else who has had the similar experience. I know there are millions of others out there. And I always attempt to connect on social media, but I never seem to find anyone. I just want to hear from somebody, if you're out there, if this resonates with you. But all the exposure I've had on Gaia TV about, I'm watching a series called Ancient Civilizations. I had no idea this would be primarily about alien life and how life on Earth started from an alien origin. And so many other things that are so interesting and that resonate so deeply with me, that are widening my perspectives to the point where I no longer feel like a soul in a human body. I feel like a soul with a human accessory or a human partner. And that's how I refer to my human self, as a partner. That I'm having this whole other experience, and my body and my humanness is having its own experience as well. And it's all interconnected. We are both here together. But I'm allowed, as the soul in an awakened human, to go explore. And doing so, I'm seeing, my human is seeing through the eyes of my soul. I don't know how else to put this. It's just such an amazing, miraculous thing. And I feel like I'm living in a fairy tale, because every single day I have new exposure to something that widens my perspective. And sometimes I seek it out because I have an inclination, or I'm compelled, or sometimes it's a serendipitous thing that pops up in my YouTube channel, or it comes up as an advertisement for something. I don't know. It comes in every way. It could be a sign on a marquee. It could be something someone says to me that strikes a resonation that causes me to go research something. It's just amazing how this works. And I just want you to know, if you have a curiosity about this, about serendipity and about um, widening our perspective through our soul's eyes, this has been my experience. So this void that I'm in, that I used to refer to almost as not an annoyance, but like, okay, I got to get through this to get there. Holy shit. That is totally not the case. Where I am right now is magical and amazing. It is this fluid blackness that allows my mind to disconnect from all it expects in this world. It allows my ego to take a back seat and say, okay, you drive, but I'm just going to come up when you need me. I'm a tool. Now I'm a tool of your being. I'm not driving this vehicle. And when I need to research or I need to contemplate, my mind is very important. But this is mostly my soul driving this body and saying, just sit back and just open your eyes and pay attention and learn. So through this void, through this emptiness, this blackness, this stillness, this place where everything begins and everything ends, is where I have made my home. And I refer to my inner self, my soul, as also that void now. And it is a place that, I think I mentioned this in the last one, a place that I go without thinking now. That is my true self, my true self's home. So the physical world is my human's home. So my home, my house, my vehicle, my relationships, the things, my activities that I do, things, that's my human home. This world, this physical place. But my soul's home is in this void. So I do refer to myself as a dual being in this realm, because that from my perspective is what's true, is I'm a soul in a body. So, and it's gotten to the point now where my soul isn't so busy keeping my body or my human from running into walls and falling into holes, which is what the ego causes. Now that I've reconciled my ego and I have full use of all of my capacity as an ethereal in a human body, my ethereal me can go take a chill pill and sit in the void while my body's resting. It's just a miracle. Oh my goodness. It is just the coolest, most miraculous thing. And I keep using the word extraordinary because it's extraordinary. And it makes me feel like anything is possible. And it's so far removed from the things that I used to wish for as an egoic human. I used to wish for, a person in my life who didn't hurt me, who could, I don't even know. I didn't even have, it was just like a blind thing that I would be with somebody who made me feel good and that would have made me happy. And all those things are ignorant. They're ignorant things to want, because you can't get that from someone else. And we don't know this. So we keep going out there and we keep hoping. And one of the things that we do, and I remember doing very well, is we ignore our intuition. We ignore our soul's guidance because we don't want to do the work. We don't want to stop and then let it all flood over us and then have to deal with it. And I tried to avoid that for most of my life. I was in my 50s. Just a couple of years ago, when I finally had to let go, I was so intent that I could fix this on my own that my soul had to pull the plug on my energy and say, "You're done. Sit down, girl. Let me fix this for you." And she did. And I think that, most of us, especially if we've gone through a lot in our lives, we become so adept at surviving that we have no clue there's anything else. So when I went into a new relationship, I was just ever hopeful that I would come out unscathed. I had no idea what was possible. So of course now I'm in this different humanity. I'm this different human because of this evolved soul, that I don't even think about it anymore. There's absolutely no need. I don't even opine about it much. Like, I'll think about it and it washes over me as a warmth and a possibility, and I'll daydream about it because I think that's very important. Our soul wants us to imagine our very best life because in doing that, our energy reaches for it. This is the resonation. If what you want doesn't exist in the frequency that your energy vibrates in, you cannot have it. So for most of my life, my vibration was only calling other people in the same vibration. And these people, further screwed me up because they're also screwed up. So you can't heal when you're constantly inviting, you know, more scars. So until I could vibrate higher, and of course I understand this now because I went through it. When we learn self-love, we vibrate higher. Our energy that flows off of our body from our heart, it reaches all around us. And they measured again. I mentioned this before, worth mentioning again. They did, I don't know if it was an electrocardiogram or what they used to measure the heart's energetic field, but they said it reaches 3 to 5 feet outside the body. And somebody asked a question, well, how do you know it that reaches that far? And the scientist said, because that's as far as our instruments could reach, meaning it could reach infinitely out into the universe. And I believe that it does because it calls to us what comes to us. This is what manifestation is. This resonation of our vibrancy, the way our energy vibrates, and why I did a podcast. It was a podcast or a an article called "Our Energetic Signature." I think it's a podcast, and and this was a while ago before I really understood this. And this is what I'm talking about. When we learn self-love, and we can only do that by dropping the facade. And mother, that's heavy. And when you drop it, you're exhausted. Yes. But if you surround yourself with people who are supportive, or no one, which I think is probably the best scenario. I was completely alone when I did this. And I'm so grateful because I've not only gotten accustomed to being alone, I love my own company and I prefer it over just about everyone else's, except for my babies, of course. So I don't really spend a lot of time outside of my own company these days. I enjoy my solitude, my downtime, my home, which is peaceful. I have nothing to take care of in my house, not a plant, not a pet, not a person. When I come home, it's just all me. This is my place to relax and to go back into the void where nothing external is knocking on my door. And then that's going to change one day, and it's meant to. And I feel like it may be already starting to because I'm starting to feel this urge for something else, which again, I don't need to talk about now. But this void, which I referred to early on as a scary place, has become just imagine sitting on the edge of an infinity pool, and you're looking at this clear blue water, and then you look beyond it, and that infinity pool is in an ocean. And when you look out over the ocean, you cannot see a horizon. You just see the horizon. You can't see anything else. There's nothing around you. There's nothing in your peripheral. It's just this beautiful distance, this empty, beautiful, glistening distance. And in that distance is where my peace lives. And this explains so much about my early life where I tried to move to New Mexico. My ex-husband can attest to this. We took 2 trips there because I wanted to move to New Mexico so badly. I don't know why. I just felt this calling to go to New Mexico. And we went there twice to look to kind of check it out and to make plans to move. But what we discovered was there was no estate liquidation industry in New Mexico because of the year-round weather. People just sold their things in flea markets and outdoor sales, and there wasn't a need for somebody to come in and clear out. There wasn't an industry for a company to come in and clear out a home, none that we could find. And that was our business. We also had an auction business, so that was pretty much the reason why we didn't move. And I know there were other reasons why too, but that resonation with that part of the world has was primarily because of the deserts. I knew I couldn't live on the ocean because I couldn't afford it. Everywhere you go on the Atlantic or Pacific is prime real estate. So I figured maybe the desert because I can see across that distance and it gives me such peace. And of course, there are other reasons, and that I'm finding out now. And during this void, and watching this series, Ancient Civilizations, on Gaia TV, where New Mexico is part of the Four Corners, which is a place believed to be a very special spiritual place that contains a portal that other life comes through to our world. And these portals all over the world, and I won't get into this conversation now. Maybe it's another podcast, but if you're interested at all in widening your perspective on humanity and Earth and our life on this one star in this vast billions of stars that are all over the universe and all the universes beyond that, which again I refer to as the void because it is another empty space that is full of mystery and faith for me. I know that other life exists. I mean, I would be a total dumbass, and excuse me if I offend anyone. I would be completely ignorant to think I was the only life form in this vast void. And I know if you pay attention to the news, and not all of it is real, that UFOs are being spotted all over the place, that there are groups of people who are going out there and connecting. There have been contact with extraterrestrial beings already. It's all happening. And if it doesn't make you fearful, which it shouldn't, because if you think about extraterrestrial life, they are in a different dimension, basically. And from what I've learned, their technology is thousands or millions of years ahead of ours. And if they wanted us gone, we would be gone. They would have the technology to wipe Earth clean and start over. And that has happened in the past. I won't get into this because I will get on a roll, girl, and it will not end. How fascinating this alternate description of our origin is, and how much I have learned and how much resonates with my energy. And I'm sure I will write more about it and I will speak about it. But for now, I wanted to talk about the void because for me, if I didn't allow myself, and I didn't have a choice, I believe, from what I've learned through my soul team, through my higher self, through the synchronistic events, through my soulmates on earth, that I'm on a destined path and I'm meant to do certain things in this world. And one of them was to awaken. Another one was to have my voice heard, whether this is the medium or not. My little mind is thinking, oh, this podcast is going to be my vocation. I don't know that. I have no idea. This may become something that just goes into the archives of time and I do something else. This may just be preparing me for what I'm going to do. I have no idea. Maybe I'm already doing what I'm meant to do and I just don't see it. That's what I'm talking about. That's the mystery of the void. It is letting your mind expand, at least as far as it's able, and then allowing your soul to just take you the rest of the way. Your ability to conceive of the unbelievable becomes natural because it's not unbelievable to the soul who is from there. You know what I mean? It is my soul educating my human so my human can have an impact in this lifetime on the rest of humanity. And on this earth, who is also evolving. This earth is a consciousness. She is a consciousness. And I commune with her all the time. And this is another area of learning that I'm completely immersed within. The books that I'm reading that I was serendipitously led to by Barbara Marciniak, that I mentioned in the last episode, and I put the link in the description to her books. They are teaching me to connect with the earth and to understand that every living thing is a consciousness. And just because we don't view it as living doesn't mean it isn't a consciousness. So I'm talking about rocks and sand and soil, grass, the trees, plants, insects, birds, every creature is a consciousness. The crystals that we collect mindlessly, my house is covered with them. crystals and geodes of all kinds. And if you look around my home, everything is raw wood and rocks. And I've been collecting these for years. I had no idea why. I just thought they were beautiful. They are consciousness, they are living things, and they are all part of my journey. I've been advised to speak to my geodes, and I do. I speak to my appliances, and it's funny because I think I mentioned this in the last episode where the power went out and my refrigerator was acting up and all this stuff was happening, and I just waited and kind of allowed the universe to kind of correct things for me, and my refrigerator started to act normal again. And I talked about that in the last episode. But I'm becoming so accustomed to thinking of myself as an energetic being that after I did the last episode, my refrigerator started to hum again loudly. And I said out loud to the refrigerator, I said, honey, you sing out loud, sing it out. If you need help, I'll get it for you. And it was during a meditation that this happened again. It always seemed to happen in the morning when I was in my meditation. My refrigerator would just start to go really loud, like, oh my God. And I would say to her, sing it out, honey. If you need my help, I'll give it to you. And this happened a couple weeks ago. I got up from my meditation feeling this energetic presence that I feel right now. I feel my hands are heated up. I feel this heat coming off of me. This energy is so potent. I got up and I put my hands on the sides of my refrigerator and I told her, I said, I'm here for you. And I said, and I didn't know what I was doing. I said, I'm an energetic being and you are also an energetic mechanical creation. You are energy. I am energy. If I can help heal your dis-ease, if I can help you gain coherence in your mechanical body, if I'm electromagnetic and so are you, maybe I can help you. And I put my hands on the side of the refrigerator and I stood there for probably, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes, just kind of hoping and sending my energy in and saying, let me help your dis-ease. And I took my hands off. It was still humming. And I'm like, okay, I tried, I thought it was fun. I didn't know, I just thought to do it. It wasn't something I planned. And I just forgot about it. And in the next day, which was now I'm talking, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks ago, I haven't heard a peep out of her. And I don't know for sure if I cured her because I can, or maybe this is a part of me, a part of us as human beings that we're unaware of, is our power as an electromagnetic being. What can we heal? I know I can heal myself. I've done that many times. And I've talked about how I don't believe in medication and I don't want to make any sweeping gestures, any sweeping statements about that. I know there are places for it. Please forgive me for that. But I avoid it at all costs. I'll have surgery instead of medicating it. I will go out into nature in my bare feet and stand for hours before I go to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? I will rest and drink water and bless my water because water is alive. So I thank the water every time I drink it. My awareness of nature, my awareness of me as a part of nature is just exploded. So this is what this void is for, is me transmuting into this other thing. And I thank my body every night for transmuting this energy and allowing us, and I use the us is because she's my partner, allowing us to evolve so I can become a more coherent, loving, illuminated human. And again, if you think of us as from an energetic perspective, when you emanate love, you affect everything. When you emanate hate, you also affect everything. That's what resonation is. If I'm resonating in a higher vibrancy, though, now I'm attracting love to me, where before I could only attract more pain because I was in a frequency of pain. And I'll say this over and over, and forgive me if you do listen to every episode and you've heard this repeatedly, forgive me, but I want to just make sure this is understood. That if we pretend that we're okay, our energy tells the universe the truth. So when you allow the person that you want to be with to tell you what you feel isn't real, And then you say, oh, you must be right because you're smarter or you're more intelligent and I want to be with you. We're sacrificing our emotional integrity to be with someone. We're not just sacrificing our human integrity, we're sacrificing our soul's ability to evolve. It is only through self-love that we evolve, because self-love leads us to unconditional love, and that is where we truly grow. And so if you are like I was, and you don't know where you belong, and you don't know how to feel accepted, and you accept what finds you because you think that's all you deserve, you're learning. There's nothing wrong with that. I would never, ever criticize my lower self for what she went through to get me here. Those versions of me were all important, but I just want you to know, if you're on this journey where you're starting to see another way, that's the way, is to go to the void. And you get to the void you have to go in naked. You have to shed everything. And that's what the healing and the dropping the facade and the self introspection, walking the dark night of the soul is all about. It's about dropping the armor, dropping the masks, dropping everything that disallows us to evolve. And it's all the ego, and the ego doesn't know any better. So again, we don't blame the ego. The ego is an important facet in all of this. The ego is the one who creates the environment that it catalyzes our life. It catalyzes the environment for us to awaken from. So it is the darkness that the light is defined by. It is the darkness that illuminates. It is the darkness that allows the light. I'm not saying that right. It's the contrast of darkness that allows us to illuminate. Let me put it that way. So embracing our darker selves, or our lower selves, or our 3D selves, is the only way to move beyond her. We cannot avoid her, because she speaks to the universe. While we're lying to ourselves, she's telling the universe the truth. She doesn't know how to lie. She's energy. So it seems so funny now. I tried so hard to hold on to that facade because I didn't know what was underneath it. I was so afraid to fall within myself. I didn't know. It is the unknown where the miracles reside, in the void. It's so funny how everything has changed. And it's even, interesting, when I think about my ex-husband, because I even said, and I've said this many times, that the human him is toxic to me. I can't be around him. The ethereal him, his higher self, and I are in very good standing, and I love him dearly. So when I say I love my ex-husband, I've always been speaking about his higher self, who is the one who really did all this work, who gave me this awakening. The human was just basically the vessel, right? The ego and the mind and the hands and the feet, the boots on the ground. But now when I think about even the human him, this love is just, I find it difficult to even see him as that toxic person anymore. He's a human being. He has an ego, and his ego is malignant, and it blocks out his sun. And when I think about him, I just feel this incredible love. And I don't want to revisit a relationship with him because the human him isn't capable. So please hear me there. But it's like I've like evolved into this unconditionally loving being who even sees and this is what we have to do. We have to see that the behavior of other people, it always comes from pain. It always comes from a place of insecurity. Otherwise, they would be loving. So when somebody is hurting people because they're hurt, and I've heard that saying so many times, hurt people, it's because you have to see them from that soul level so you can identify with it, and you can be understanding and empathetic, and you don't want to get run over by your empathy. Trust me, it's happened to me. But when we're able to see others from a soul level and then forgive them, get the fuck out of their way, please, excuse me, get out of their way so you're not run over or destroyed by them. That's not what I'm saying. Just because you can see where the pain comes from doesn't mean you need to endure it. And this is something I had to learn, even within my own family. I had to let go of one relationship that I couldn't reconcile because there was nothing there for me. I was supplying a role to this person who, I love this person, but I couldn't, there was nothing that there for me. So I had to move on. And empathy is such an important aspect of our humanity, but if it is a large part of us, it can be a double-edged sword. And, I just want that to be heard too. So when I think about my ex, I just feel this intense love for him. And I always tell the universe, I want for him to have clarity and peace, which means awaken. And then I want him to be happy. I want him to find a loving woman that he can love in this new energy and have abundance. And I would love that. I really would. And I think it's just a testament to really what love is for. When we love ourselves, we elevate ourselves. In that elevation, we affect other people with our energy, whether we know it or not. Just like when we're in lower elevations, we affect other people. So if you're hateful and you're writhing in pain and all you can do is think negatively, those around you are affected by that. And that's why I say when you go through your healing, either be around people who are in a higher energy or be by yourself. You can't be around other people who want you to remain so you can commiserate. But enough about that. I don't want to, again, soapbox. I just want to talk about my experience. But it's such a powerful thing to have these realizations and to go beyond the struggle that we experience as a human being, and to go so far beyond it that I'm looking down at myself now and I'm looking out at the universe instead of looking out at my world and looking up at the universe. It's just this strange script has been completely flipped in it, and I just feel like I'm in this otherworldly world where absolutely anything is possible. Where today I could meet the man of my dreams. Where today I could become a wealthy woman. Where today I could become successful in my soul's work. Where today I could become an ambassador to a galactic neighborhood. That makes me happy. So create your own mantra. It doesn't have to be what somebody else says. It doesn't have to be a guided meditation. I don't listen to guided meditations. I can't ever focus on them. I have exercises that I do that make sense to me. I ended up making an energy exercise out of thanking the universe and the earth and my soul family. And I create a torus, which is like a cylindrical energy force around me, which is, if you look up Google torus energy, it's like a channel in the middle, and then the energy like a battery. The opposite polars attract each other, so it's like this surrounding energy. It just keeps going around and round. I create that field around me by thanking the universe and reaching my hands up and around my body, and then down and thanking the earth and doing it opposite. Oops, knocking stuff over, and creating this vortex around me, this torus of energy, through my gratitude session. So, there are all kinds of things that we can do that resonate with us that don't have to be what somebody else says to do, which is a way to start. But I just want to tell you that, if this resonates with you at all, I hope that you take from it what is meaningful. And I'm just so happy to have this medium, this microphone, any audience, and I appreciate you very much. If you have any comments or any resonation that you want to share, please do on YouTube at Postcards from a Soul. I have social media all in other places too, and a website, which is postcardsfromasoul.com, which you can send me a message. But I would love to hear from you. I appreciate your ear. I appreciate your presence very much. And I will leave you with that. And I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope that you achieve and have or are seeking clarity and peace within yourself. And I hope that you find this amazing, magical fairy tale place called the void.